Hello and welcome to Conversations with Nurit. I am Nurit and I'm speaking here from Budapest, Hungary. And my guest today is Samarpan, who's speaking with us from Germany. Welcome, Samarpan. It's fabulous to finally meet you. I heard about you through another interview, actually. A friend of mine recommended that I interview a German teacher called Stefan Hine. And I didn't know much about him, so I went on his Facebook page. And there was a video there, and in the video he doesn't speak at all. It's completely silent. But the silence that came through and his presence that came through was very moving to me. So I wanted to interview him. And in the course of the interview, he told me that he was your student. That whatever he learned from you. So I was very eager to interview you as well. And here we are. I watched one of your lectures, one of your satsangs, and I must say it was very beautiful to watch how you sit with people and be. Most of the talking comes from people. You do very little talking. And at first I was eager to hear more talking because I wanted to know what your teaching is all about. And then I realized that is your teaching. You're just sitting there and being and allowing people to talk through their stuff. And it was really very inspiring to me. But I want to hear from you. What is the essence of your teaching? What do you teach?
Actually, I'm not teaching anything.
Oh, wonderful.
Mostly what I'm doing is disturbing the teaching that people already have.
Oh.
The programming, the ideas, the beliefs that keep us from being free and happy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I'm unteaching.
Unteaching. That's fabulous. Yes. It's amazing what's happening in the world now. It's almost like there's two different groups that I'm meeting. There are people who, like me, who've had too much teaching, and it's taken me so long to undo what I've learned. So I get the value of that for sure. And then there are people who just suffer and therefore wake up without any teaching whatsoever. Okay. It seems that the New Age teachings today and the spirituality today is, well, I would say it might be by now $1 billion industry. And there are so many teachers and so many dogmas and so many different interpretations that a lot of students get very confused. And one of the reasons I like to interview people, I seek teachers, or for lack of a better word, or beings who can clear things up, because there's so many phrases even that are used completely differently from one person to another. So I wanted to ask you some of your, not interpretations, but your views on, or how you use those phrases. For example, I saw on your website, you say your definition of enlightenment, not definition, but your words about enlightenment is saying yes to everything. Can you elaborate on that for us, please?
Well, this is kind of a Lao Tzu way. Huh? He called it the watercourse way. Just say yes to everything. You don't have to resist anything. The water finds its way to the ocean. It doesn't have to decide which way to go. It doesn't have to judge this turn or that turn. It just relaxes and it goes. And it's the same with us. We're naturally okay the way we are. We don't have to get into this psycho bullshit of, okay, I have a trauma in my past and I have to work on it. Yeah. Or I have to learn some practice in order to be okay. That's not true. We're okay right now. We are born okay. We continue to be okay. In between, we have a lot of stuff programmed into our heads that create a disturbance. But that's just dust. And the dust can easily be cleaned off, and the diamond is pure, unpolluted. It's no problem with it.
What are some of the processes or practices that you offer, if you do, to people to help them unattach themselves from those thought streams or mental addictions or stories?
Well, I just keep reminding people that all the stories are bullshit. That any idea I have in my head about how things are is not true. All the beliefs are not true. That the truth can't be said. It can only be experienced. It's just here. It's in our being. Nothing can be said about it, actually. So everything that we say is not it. Can't talk about God. You know? We can't describe God. We can't. Any philosophy or religion that comes up with ideas about how it is are not really to the point.
Absolutely.
And when we just stop and we just rest in ourselves, we're happy. So this is all that I'm showing to people is it just, hey, just stop, relax, you're okay. But we have this habit, we've developed this habit of looking to the thoughts for guidance. And the thoughts only mislead us. So we come out of the thoughts, we relax in the moment, and we're just happy. We don't have to know anything. We don't have to learn anything. Every child is naturally happy. We haven't lost this childlike happiness. It's here. It's inherent in each and every one of us. We just have to come out of the story.
Do you find that people who come to you are challenged by the simplicity of it, and they want more to do something or to some kind of practice, or they're so accustomed to making an effort to achieve, and there's an expectation?
Yeah, people like practices, but people who come to me are a little more intelligent than that.
Oh, good. You're lucky.
Practices is for people. If I were in the business of attracting thousands and thousands of people, I would have to invent practices for people because there are many people who don't know anything else. But since I'm a lazy guy and I don't like inventing practices, only the intelligent people come to me who can drop the practices. And it's about And all the practices, I mean, even reading spiritual books and practicing techniques of meditation and so on and so on, it only comes to stopping and being here and just being. That's what all the techniques are about, is just being. If you can just be, you don't need any technique. So you can practice all kinds of techniques until you come to the point where you have the taste of being. Once you have the taste of being, you don't need any technique. You just fall into silence.
There are many teachers today who talk negatively about the body and the identification with the body. I've noticed in your satsang, somebody said that they were more in their body now, and you applauded that. You said that that was very good. Can you tell us about your take on that?
Well, most people are not in the body because they're in the head. So if I'm up in the dreams, I'm not aware of my body. Yeah, I leave my body and I go into the clouds, into some story, and that's where I'm living. So just being aware of my body without any thought, without any agenda, without any idea of where I'm going or what it's for, is helpful. Just feeling my body, just feeling my feet on the ground, being aware of my hands, being aware of my breathing. This just brings me to the moment. It's a bridge. It brings me to myself. Because I'm not up here. That's not where we find ourselves, not in the thoughts. So anything we do in the thoughts is not going to be helpful. So it's only about coming out of the thoughts, and whatever helps us to come out of the thoughts is good. And that's the bottom line of every meditation, is just helping us to come out of the thoughts, come into the moment. It's simple, actually.
Yes, very. Yeah. I love the demonstration. I don't know if it was intended to be a demonstration, but you were answering someone's question about breathing. And you were saying to her to not to try to breathe in, but just to breathe out, totally breathe out. And then what happened is the in-breath just happens naturally. Comes on its own. And I found that very symbolic of your being and your message and the way you are with what you're conveying to people.
Yeah, it's kind of like letting go, isn't it?
Yeah. It fell completely, and then because there's such a tendency, we're so, as human beings, we've been programmed to accomplish, to do, and to control what we do and to manipulate what we do. And all of a sudden we're told, stop, just let everything go and allow it to happen on its own, and to allow being to come out on its own. And so it's I found that a very helpful demonstration, if you will. How did you come to be as you are? You had quite a few transitions in your life, I understand.
How did I get to be the way I am? Well,
The wording is not what There's no right way.
Actually, I have no idea. I just am the way I am. It's like I've always been like this.
Oh, you have? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, we could tell stories about my journey and all the false turns that I've made and all the misunderstandings that I've had and whatnot. But actually, it's very simple. And I mean, this is my message, basically, is right now, you are the way you should be. That's my message. You are exactly where you should be, the way you should be, and there's nothing to do except be the way you are.
Mm-hmm.
And by being the way I am, something happens. Something just naturally opens up and gets easier and more natural, and all the efforts to try to be some way get in the way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if I try to be spiritual, if I try to be good, if I try to be helpful, if I try to be holy, if then I only end up being false.
Right.
But if I am willing to just be as I am, even if I judge it to be wrong, something relaxes.
Mm-hmm.
And then what comes is just natural. It's authentic. And I have to trust this because I don't know. We don't know we don't know the outcome of this. We don't know where this is leading us. And the mind comes up and says, oh, watch out. Maybe you'll end up being Hitler or something. Yeah? But Hitler ended up being Hitler by not allowing himself to be the way he is. He was in a big fight with himself. And the result of what we experienced was the result of his fight, not his being in peace with himself. So when we fall into peace with ourselves the way we are, what comes out is holy, it's beautiful, natural. We are naturally good. This is the bottom line. We are God. It's not a doing. Any doing it's going to be false. Like that.
Mm-hmm. Would you say that just being as you are is the true essence of surrender?
Yeah, this is the essence. Sometimes it's not easy,
Mm-hmm.
because there's judgments, there's programming that says this is not okay. I can't be the way I am. I have to be more social. I have to be more acceptable. I have to be more loving. I have to be charitable. I have to get involved in world affairs and so on and so on. And that's not the way it is. That's not the way I am. The way I am is socially unacceptable.
Yeah. I noticed that when silence comes in, a lot of friends leave. Yeah. Wonderful. You talk about going within. Many teachers talk about going within, and many students talk about going within, and a lot of them are really, I feel, are referring to inner thoughts or inner world.
Yeah. Yeah, we can really go astray with everything.
Mm-hmm.
we can create a world within in our mind, and then we're going into some psychosis. We're going into some falseness. That's why I seldom talk about going within. I just talk about stopping and being. Sometimes I talk about falling into my middle. And these words describe a picture that comes when I'm just relaxing and coming into my center, just falling into my middle, just it's like a falling. It's not a doing. It happens naturally. It just in this relaxation, this dropping happens. I can't do it. I can't make it happen. If I'm doing something, then it's going to be mental. So it's the absence of doing. Often I experience just, maybe I'm busy in some project, or the mind is quite active, and I just stop and sit. And it takes a few moments. And then something falls, Something falls, and I come into this space, this quietness. It just happens. If I'm not in the way, if I'm not in the thoughts, it just happens, and it happens easily and naturally.
Yes. I feel there's a lot of misunderstandings in spiritual circles about the not doing versus doing.
Yeah, sure.
And now there's a new phrase that has come out. It's called spiritual bypassing.
Spiritual bypass. Spiritual bypassing. This is a new term for me. Please tell me about spiritual bypassing.
I'm not an expert. There are different variations on it. I don't particularly subscribe to it, but what I'm hearing is some are saying that people are using spirituality in order to avoid their responsibilities in the world, or some saying I don't exist, nothing exists, nothing is real. I can just sit back and have a beer and everything will happen. So there's various degrees of delusion surrounding this. I wonder if you can clarify it for us.
So what we're talking about is some kind of mind fuck, some kind of construct that actually it's a device for avoiding, right?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
I want to avoid feeling the uncomfortable feelings that I'm feeling, so I can do some spiritual concept to say, well, it all doesn't matter, I don't exist anyway, and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Everything is possible. The mind can take anything and make it into a construct. And these constructs they make us narrow. And that's how we know. My effort is to make us wide, broad, infinite, not narrow in any way. Unlimited. All these things are limitations. But you talked about responsibility. Now, this is an interesting topic because this is another trap of the mind saying, okay, you have responsibilities. For instance, how about responsibilities to your old parents who can no longer take care of themselves? Yeah? It is believed in our society that we have a responsibility to our old parents, and this becomes a tyranny. This becomes a slavery. Mm-hmm. And then the adult children are leaving their own lives and taking care of their old parents. When this is done joyfully, it's lovely. But often it's done just out of an idea of responsibility, and it's ugly, terrible. And there's many, many things like this. People say, yes, shouldn't we do something about world hunger? Hey, if that turns you on, great. You know? If you want to go to Africa and be in service to people, and that's what fulfills you, that's wonderful. But sitting on your couch, mind-fucking about poor starving children in Africa is not helping anybody. It's only making you miserable, and the children don't get any more bread that way. So, yeah, like that. Yeah. So it's not about avoiding anything. Actually, I'm doing the opposite. I'm pushing people into their pain. I'm encouraging them to go into the pain, not to run away from it, not to do some strategy to avoid. Because every strategy to avoid makes us narrow. Not good. Not fulfilling, doesn't add joy to our lives. It makes it narrow. People sometimes they say, "Oh, I'm afraid to go outside. Yeah? I'm afraid of the bad world out there. Yeah? So I have to stay inside." Narrow. Yeah? I can't, by being a slave to the idea that I have to avoid feeling fear, makes me narrow. If I'm willing to feel fear, if I'm willing to feel everything, then my world can expand slowly, slowly. And I'm not afraid of anything. That's the point.
Yeah. Yeah. It seems that we have been conditioned, humans have been conditioned to avoid pain, to be uncomfortable with not knowing.
And part of our conditioning is we've learned strategies of running into the thoughts to avoid the pain. Yeah?
Yeah. Yeah. Suppression is a big one. And, I feel like once an awakening happens and we start to taste the being, the suppression is no longer allowed. It just forces itself out. And it's almost like there's a healing crisis that happens. Do you find that among people?
Well, we start to realize how narrow our mind is making us. And then, of course, we want to go, then the mind says, okay, we'll just throw the baby out with the bathwater and we'll do something totally different. Mm-hmm. But that's not the point. Basically, all we need to do is notice. Mm. If we notice how we're being made small, narrow, not trying to change it, but just noticing, then it changes by itself. It relaxes, it opens, it broadens by itself. That's my way. It's natural. Just noticing, just being here, just bringing awareness to the moment, not trying to change anything, just being aware of the moment, being aware of how I am, how I'm interacting with other people, how I'm interacting with my world. You know, not judging it, not trying to change it, just noticing.
Yeah.
And it changes. It changes. I can't change it.
Yeah.
You know, we in this day and age, we've been conditioned by psychology, being trained to analyze and to look at our structures and to find new ways, but it's all mental.
Yes.
You know, and it doesn't work.
Yes.
You know, by now we're noticing, hey, it doesn't quite work. You know, it's
Yeah.
So we start off by repressing the thoughts, repressing the feelings. Learning many strategies to not feel, to be safe. And then psychology teaches us this is not good to repress. Let's express. But we can't go around expressing all of our feelings either because they lock us up, you know. The policeman on the street is going to say, hey, hello, we have a place for you. I don't need to express and I don't need to repress. I just need to be in peace with myself the way I am. I need to be in peace with my feelings the way they are. I don't need to do anything about it. Just notice it. Oh, you know, sadness here. Okay, good. Anger's here. Fine. Rage. Fine. How about loving feelings? This gets us a lot. Yeah, we feel loving towards someone and we want to do something. And if the other one is not available, then we're suffering. Yes, but my heart wants. No, it's not the heart, it's the head. Yeah? It's always the head that wants. The heart doesn't want anything. The heart is just openness, lovingness. Any wanting is only the head.
You find that there's a period in people's lives when they start this process and letting go and all of that, that there's a satisfaction that comes with it, obviously, because we find that our security does not lie here in our analyzing, but more inner. And do you find that there's a period of where we're not really motivated to do much? Like there's the motivation changes?
We start off with this promise. If I have a good job, if I have a nice place to live, if I have a good relationship, I will be happy. There's some construct about what will make us happy. at some point in our lives, they call it midlife crisis, where we realize, it ain't happening. I have everything. I have the job. I have the house. I have the woman. I have the family, and I'm still discontented. There's something missing. I don't know what's missing. You know. So when something happens where I drop into satisfaction, yes, it's a tendency to, again, to throw the baby out with the bathwater and say, okay, I have to leave the job, leave the family, have a whole new life. I go off and live in the forest or something, yeah, which is not too practical in Germany. And, you know, this is more an Indian kind of way, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not about leaving the job or leaving the normal life. It's about leaving the ideas, the desires. It's about realizing, okay, this doesn't give me anything. I'm living in this beautiful house. It doesn't make me happy. I have a good life. It doesn't make me happy. My happiness is here. Yeah. My happiness is irrelevant to anything else. I could be living in the forest if that were my nature. Yeah. I would be equally happy or unhappy. Yeah. It's not the point. So, yes, it can happen, and this does happen all the time. The mind will take something. Okay, I have a spiritual experience, and then the mind takes it and says, okay, that means you have to sit on the couch the rest of your life. No, doesn't mean that. Because the ripening, it happens in our everyday life. It happens in contact with other people. It happens in normal relationships. That I get challenged. All the things in my psyche that are a little fucked up get challenged. Yeah, and this is good. This is not something to be avoided. Coming back to your idea that, okay, spirituality to be used as a way to avoid something, you know, to avoid my dark aspects of my psyche. No, I don't want to avoid anything. I want to live it all. I want to experience it all. I want to explore every aspect of my psyche. I want to make friends with every part of me.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember something that stuck with me very strongly in the satsang that I heard of yours is absolutely everything is yourself. Something like, I'm paraphrasing. There's nothing that isn't yourself.
There's no foreign entity anywhere. You know, there just isn't. Can't be. God is all there is. You know, this is my own self. So the idea that I have to protect myself from some alien creature that's going to jump on me or something, this is a little psycho, yeah? This is not the point.
Yeah.
I don't have to protect myself at all.
Yeah. From what?
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
I only have to make friends with all the feelings that I don't want to feel. That's
Oh.
all. That's my job. My job is to make friends with myself in every aspect. And this happens naturally. I don't have to go into past life therapy or regression or psychoanalysis or anything else. It all comes up, and it comes up naturally, organically, just as we're living.
Mm-hmm.
All we have to do is say yes to this.
Mm-hmm.
Just say yes to what's happening. That's all.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Coming back to Lao Tzu's way. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I guess there's also one other phenomena. I guess you said that how clever the mind is in creating structures, and oftentimes people hear these things and they get them intellectually.
Yeah.
But it's not really. It's not really. It's their authentic experience.
Well, the mind will take everything and use it for its own benefit. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody has a spiritual experience, and the mind says, "I am enlightened." Yeah.
I hear a lot of that.
Yeah. This I can never be enlightened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It implies that everything else isn't enlightened. Mm-hmm. Okay. Wow. It's really refreshing to hear such clarity uh, in a society where there's so much spiritual bullshit. Pardon my French.
Oh, yes. I mean, Osho was talking 1975 or something. He was talking about spiritual teachers, so-called masters. Yeah, he said 99% of them are false.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
he was living in India. And India is full of such
Yeah.
people. Yeah.
I was with one.
Oh, yeah.
At the same time, and it's unfortunate because I would have loved to have met. Now I would have loved to have met Osho, but at the time, my Indian teacher was against Osho. So,
Sure, of course.
competition.
Yeah, Osho was tough, really tough with these people.
Yeah. What was it like being with Osho?
Oh, a love affair. It is still a love affair. And he kills me again and again and again. He kills me, and I love it.
How so? How so? You say he kills me. How so?
Any ego he's gonna hit on, and he doesn't. Not doing anything directly, but all of a sudden I'm like, oh shit, yes, Any idea I have about myself gets in the way. Any idea, that's ego. An idea about myself is ego. Whether it's a good idea about myself or a bad idea about myself, whether it's a spiritual idea about myself or a political idea about myself, It's all bullshit. It's not true. Yeah. All these ideas, and there's so many subtle ideas.
Mm-hmm.
And Osho's just by his way of being and his way of talking is just destroying all these ego structures.
Yeah.
And it's painful and it's blissful and it's wonderful and it's terrible.
Directness. I've listened to several YouTubes, and he's really wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wish I had met him. But
Well, you can meet him now. He's just, we're living in such abundance because we have audio tapes, we have video tapes of Osho speaking, and he's here.
Yeah.
And through this technology, he's still alive, and we can still sit in his presence and allow him to come in. And this is what a luxury.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love his sense of humor too.
Oh yes. Lovely.
He's hilarious. So he was a major turning point for you when you met him.
Yes, he was. Before I met Osho, I was raised as a Catholic, yeah, and I did my best to adhere to the rules of the church because I thought this is what you're supposed to do. Yeah? So after having 4 children and realizing, hey, the Pope is not helping me with my children, the Pope is not, the church is not providing me with the money to feed my children.
Certain responsibility.
And if I don't do something, there's going to be more children. I came from a family of 8.
Wow.
My mother had 10 pregnancies. And, okay, wait a minute, something's wrong here. I don't know what's wrong and I don't know what's right, but I have to stop this. So I threw it all out. I said, okay, I don't know. And not knowing became my religion.
Oh, that's fantastic.
This is when I met Osho.
Mm.
Osho found fertile ground.
Wow.
I was just totally open. And then I'm reading Osho, and Osho's just speaking to my heart.
Mm.
And I thought, this is truth. And sometimes it would conflict with some idea that I still had, and okay.
I'll adjust. Yeah.
But, yeah, yes. And then after this, meeting Osho like this, being with Osho like this, after this, I had my second Satori, and my whole life totally changed radically. And this took years to settle. It took many, many years to integrate this because I didn't know what to do with this realization.
Mm-hmm.
I knew it's the truth, no doubt, but I also knew that I still had a lot of stuff in my psyche that were not in harmony with this. Mm-hmm. So that's all.
Mm-hmm. You show on your website, there's a page called Lineage. And you show a picture of Jesus, Osho, Gangaji, Papaji, and
Ramana.
Ramana. Yes.
Mhm.
Have they contributed to your process as well?
They've all contributed to my understanding, yes.
Mm-hmm. What are some of the gifts that you received from them? Like for example, Gangaji, what has she contributed to your process?
Well, I met Gangaji when I was living in Santa Fe,
Mm-hmm.
New Mexico, and I heard an audio tape of hers, and I thought, oh, this is the truth. Somebody's speaking the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to satsang with her one time, and then again, and before I knew it, I was there every time helping to set up and organizing and preparing her house for her to live in. And it was very good for me. It was very supportive. And it was during this time, and it was in a retreat with Gangaji, when something completed, it's like the other shoe dropped.
Oh.
You know, something like, ah, yes, okay. You know? The realization that there is no Samarpan. That was the other shoe dropping. There is nobody to be enlightened.
And that just happened? Did that just happen?
Well, kind of just happened. It happened out of a deep wanting to know, a deep willingness to let go of everything that's not real. This was the last major thing that was in my way, was this idea that the idea of me as somebody who had an experience.
Wow.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What about the longing itself? At some point, that has to drop as well.
The longing for what?
Well, you had, as all of us who find ourselves in these processes, there's a longing. There's a longing to know the truth. There's a longing to be. There's an inner longing that happens.
Well, there's a natural longing to be with God, with myself. You know? This is to be truly intimate with myself. This is the longing.
Mm-hmm.
And when I'm just willing, and Papaji helped me with this. He said, just put everything into this longing. But all the longing into this, all the longing for everything, because it's all about this, the longing for money, for prestige, for friends, for lovers, for whatever, it's all really this longing. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
This is the basic longing, the longing to be with God, with myself. Yeah? So put it all your longing into one and give your whole energy to this. And I did this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And is there a point where the longing itself disappears? Like if you say there's no longer a Samarpan, does the longing go with it? Whose longing is it?
When I am totally willing to die in this longing, the longing disappears.
Mm-hmm.
And there is nobody who's longing.
Mm-hmm.
And there's nothing to be longed for.
Mm-hmm. Do you feel that sometimes a strong longing, even though it's directed, one-pointed longing, could that keep someone away from the actual letting go?
Yeah, any longing takes me away from here.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm here, I'm at home, I'm with myself. There is no desire, there's no longing.
Mm-hmm.
It's only when I go into the story where then there's everything. There's longing, there's wanting, there's missing, there's feelings coming and stuff, When I'm here, I'm cool, I'm happy, I'm contented, I'm in peace. And there is nobody who is in peace, yeah?
Right.
Yeah.
That's really good. It's wonderful. Wow. Thank you. This is fabulous. Thank you.
You're very, very welcome. Thank you.